Hey everyone, Mike here. Everybody has an opinion on these what we're calling mop flies, and the reason why they're called a mop fly is because these little dangly things hanging off the end of this thing called a mop, we're cutting them off and using the using this microfiber that's formed in such a way to perfectly make a body for us for some of the flies that we tie. What I'm going to do with this one is I ran out of scud hooks, so I went to a Gamakatsu B10 S hook. I think it's a size 6, this one here is, and I put a 5/32 tungsten black bead head on there. And well, the reason why, let me just back up a little bit. The reason why I bought the white microfiber mop is because I can actually take a Sharpie and color the fibers whatever color I want. I can go from white to super dark or to a very bright yellow, like this one here that we're going to tie. They go together really well and easy. The most novice of tyers can put one of these together in no time. Of course, this video will take a little bit longer because I'm explaining and tying as I go along. This is a really good beginner's fly, but it's also a really good veteran's fly. Simply because of its looks and the texture that the fish are going to feel when it goes, when they inhale it. I think it's, it's not the end all by no means, but it's definitely an upgrade to the standard woolly worm or woolly bugger, whatever you want to call it, because that's what I'm going to tie here on this Gamakatsu size 6 B10S hook. And I've got the tungsten bead already on there, and it, when you start to tying, the bead is kind of loose. So what I kind of like to do, and it's not something that you have to do, but what I like to do is put a little thread on the front and then take a piece of foam rubber and cut it down into a strip, just like this. And then what I'll do is I'll place that foam and push the foam up underneath the bead and towards the front. And what that does is, as you can see, it takes that bead head and lines it up perfectly on the hook right there. And it doesn't slide back and forth as you're tying the rest of your materials on. So, I mean, it's just something I do. You don't have to do it. I just think it helps to keep this thing out of the way. Now, one of the things that I do to tie or to collar these microfibers is I took a standard Ziploc bag like this and then I cut a corner off of it. And the reason why I did that, and you can find whichever way you want to do it. You can wear rubber gloves, you can go ahead and get your fingers all colored up like I've already got mine from the previous bugs. I just was trying to find a way to color these up without getting my fingers marked up. So all you got to do is just drop the fly in there, or the microfibers in there, and then take a Sharpie, and to get this super bright yellow like I have here, to get it that bright, what I use is not a standard yellow Sharpie. I use a neon Sharpie. They're Sharpies that have a neon ink in them, and what that does is it gives it a very vibrant color. So I just go ahead and color it up, pull it out, and after coloring it, of course, what you'll want to do before you actually touch it, I've got a rag, and I'll pull it out with the rag, and then just let the rag absorb some of the excess ink, and then I end up with a microfiber piece that is no longer letting off the letting off the ink. So let's go ahead and tie this on here real quick on the back. And I am not going to worry about you know, offsets on this fly with the body here and this space up in here, because it's going to be covered with a black crystal chenille. And you know, I like using that because it's got a real nice flashy looking look to it. I just tie that on there, and then I have a hackle feather. I've already got the tip cut off there, and I just go ahead and tie that down. It doesn't have to be anything special. There's no real right or wrong way to do this. The right way is just to get it captured onto the hook. And then I like getting the chenille behind the hackle on the first wrap, and then I'll wrap it forward. And that area that's indented there, what I'll do is I'll just kind of back up a little bit to build that up, and then come back forward again, just like so, and I'll bring it all the way up to the head, and then give it a couple wraps up by the head. Kind of push that head forward. I'll do a wrap in the front and the back. Just like that. And then I'll take my hackle and run that forward. And I'll keep those pretty far apart, just like that. Don't have to be close together. And then as I get to the neck of the fly, I'll go ahead and wrap a couple extra wraps in the front. Put a couple wraps behind it, and then a couple wraps in front of it. Cut that off. And now all we need to do is kind of brush them back and tie it off, and then do a little whip finish real quick, just like so. And throw a little head cement on the threads. Bottom and the top and the bottom. Like so. Now essentially it's done, but this big old yellow tail here, what I want to do is take, I've got a Copic pen for this, but you can use Sharpies, but I want to dress it up a little bit and put just some spots on it. Do the spots very sparingly. You can come down the side, just throw a spot in about every ¼ inch or so, and then come back to the fly or to the body, and just go up a little bit in between the dots that you put in there, and then come down to the bottom part, same thing. That way you're getting a little bit of a pattern going there. And then do the same thing here. You might kind of give it a little twist, and then put the spots right between the other spots, just like that. And then do the same thing across the top, and there you go. That's nice woolly worm mop fly combo with the tail that I think is going to be a pretty hot fly this summer with a lot of people. Seems like we're talking about these mop flies more than we have in the past. There's a couple guys that have told me that they've been doing them for a long time for tournament fishing, which is pretty cool. If you've got a pattern and new material, Modern Fly Tyer is about that. We want to you know, come up with new patterns and techniques, and you know, tying techniques, fishing techniques, how to find the fish, where to find the fish, you know, when to find the fish. So, you know, if somebody has a problem with tying a woolly bugger or worm using a microfiber because it comes from a mop. I mean, it's almost like they're calling it an abomination because it's from something that to them shouldn't be. But as far as I'm concerned, any material that you can tie up to make look, you know, pretty decent is fair game to me. So, you know, if you're one of those guys just learning, or if you're a guy like me that just likes playing around, because I'm not doing it to impress anybody, I'm doing it to go out and catch fish. Just do it, and don't listen to those guys that are naysayers and the perfect you know, fly fishermen, the ones that have all the answers all the time. Because ultimately you're not pleasing them, you're pleasing yourself by going out and catching something that you tied. So even though this came from a mop, I'm going to call it a woolly bugger with a microfiber tail. Maybe that'll make them happy. Just before signing off, I mean, seriously, you know, think about it. If somebody would not have said mop fly, if somebody would not have said mop fly and went and cut all these little fingers off of here and just put them into a bag, into a separate bag, you know, you pay $8 to $10, $12 or whatever for the mop, and you've got hundreds of these little things on there. You could probably make, you know, 50 bags, or I don't know, make 30 bags. If you make 30 bags, if somebody made 30 bags of them and charged $3 or $4 a bag, $4 a bag times, you know, 30, they just took a $12 investment and just cutting these things off, just cutting them off like this and putting them in a bag, you know, half a dozen of them or so, and, you know, call them microfiber tails, not telling everybody that it came from a mop, then it would be fair game and it would be okay to tie with it. But I don't care where it came from. Mine came from a mop. I did a pretty cool fly. It'll catch fish. Yours will too. This is Mike. Until the next video, we'll catch you later.